Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Bulletproof Marketer. I am your host, Christopher Tompkins. It is wonderful to be connecting with all of you today. We're going to be talking about a subject that is an extension, actually, from one of our previous shows, thanks to lots of viewer and listener comments that I've received via LinkedIn. So, we're going to be talking about how to get everything ready before you start using AI. I know you have to actually get things together. You can't just throw it in a slot machine and hope to win big. No, it's a little bit different, but I'm going to give you a different perspective on how you can prepare your data before you start using AI to better market your business, market yourself as a thought leader, and much more. So, we'll be talking about that in just a few minutes. So, please tune in. If you are interested in learning more about how you can utilize AI and you're just starting out with developing your own prompts, or you've been doing it for a while and you just can't get the right results, I urge you to check out my ebook. I wrote an ebook this year that is basically about lots of different ways that you can utilize AI to streamline some of your processes. So if you go to thegoagency.com, there'll be a pop-up there and you can just very easily sign up, and I'll send you the ebook as well as some other exclusive prompts that I came up that I didn't include in the ebook. So it's a really great resource if you want to check it out. But also, if you're on the Go Agency website, check out our blog. There's lots of other information there. There's articles that I've written for different magazines, as well as our regular blog content, all meant to educate and help you do better at your digital marketing. So please check it out there. If you need any help yourself, you can reach out to me directly. The best way to connect with me is always on my LinkedIn because I check that out pretty regularly. So please shoot me a connection request, mention that you're a listener of the show. And yeah, oh, that's one thing I wanted to say. A few of you have messaged me on LinkedIn. Thank you. It's really cool to connect with you. I love hearing your feedback. But whenever you are requesting a connection with me, can you just put into your message that you've listened to the show? Just because then when you ask me a question, I know kind of to how to meet you where you are in terms of the conversation. So that way we can dig in quicker and I can offer more relevant help for you. Because, like I said before in other episodes, I am really big on being able to supply information to you all out there that will help you do things more effectively and efficiently and cost effectively with better results when it comes to digital marketing. So if you were a first-time listener to the show, please check out our archives. We have all of our video archives on YouTube, and we have all of our audio archives wherever you love to listen to it. Wherever you're listening to this right now, you can listen to past episodes. We've been doing the show for many years, so there's lots of different information, some really basic tips and tactics to get you started to more advanced strategies. So I urge you to check that out. Also, last piece of business before we move on to the wonderful world of AI again is that on the website, on thegoagency.com, you can also sign up for the Bulletproof Marketer mailing list. The link is in the bio. We send out a couple emails per week. We're not going to spam you all the time. And no, it's just 2 emails a week right now that are packed with information that you can try out and apply to your digital marketing strategy. Okay, so pretty straightforward stuff. But let's get into the reason for the season, which is AI. Again, yes, it is a big topic. I was just talking about this the other day. This is so funny. If we're talking about the evolution of how many people are jumping at the AI opportunity, I think there's a lot of people out there also, which reminds me back to when I started the Go Agency like 16 years ago. Oh my gosh, is that crazy or what? Anyway, 16 years ago. So when I started the Go Agency, that was when social media was in its infancy for business marketing purposes. And there were a lot of firms out there that were my direct competitors that would just jump on it because it was the hottest thing, tell the person on the other side whatever they need to do to close the sale, and rinse and repeat more because they're rinsing you of your cash. And then guess what? None of those results happen. And then they're gone. You have no results. And hello, what do you do next? Feeling that this is going to happen with AI as well, because I have my ebook and I was sending it to my connections on LinkedIn just as like a nice thing. And I'm getting an increasing number of, at any time that I send messages, I make sure that they're hyper relevant. Remember what I've told you before on a previous episode of the Bulletproof Marketers, to make sure that your messages that you're sending are very personalized and hyper relevant to the audience. Okay, I practice what I preach. So whenever someone says, hey, why are you sending this to me? I immediately check them out and say, oh gosh, did I make a mistake? Was it an oversight? what I've noticed is that over the last couple months, I've been sending out the ebook for just a little bit, maybe like the last 3 or 4 months. And the last 2 months, I've noticed that people are saying, I don't know why you're sending this to me. I am an AI expert. And I was just like, okay. And I look, and the first thing I'm thinking is, oh no, I sent it to an engineer or someone who's in information technology and they are expert and just, oh, I have egg on my face. I missed something. Because us marketers, we do miss something because we have a lot of responsibility and data to go through. And it happens. But I looked and it wasn't information technology. It was that AI was all over this person's profile. AI is in the headline, their description, even in they worked it into their name and their covers and everywhere. And their new job was AI consultancy. It was like an AI agency. And it had just started in April of 2025. And the previous job trajectory was in real estate before that. And then I've seen it again and again. People that are serial entrepreneurs that have now opened an AI consulting business. I'm not yucking anyone's yum. I'm just saying, I've seen this before. So tread lightly. Make sure that you are going to deal with someone, if you are going to hire someone to work with your AI, that you really trust that could substantiate claims and offer you more than just a custom GPT that you can build yourself. And the reason I say custom GPT is because that is the subject matter of our conversation today. It is a question that I'm asked a lot, just when I'm talking to current clients, past clients, even potential clients on sales calls. How can you customize AI to support my business, to help me create a perfect assistant for what I need, or a perfect proposal writer? You do that through creating custom GPTs. And I'm talking about Chat GPT here pretty exclusively, but everything that I'm telling you here, you can apply to different platforms. But we're really focusing on GPT here on this conversation and episode. But also, if you're not using that, it is important because the information that I'm going to share with you works everywhere. And it's funny when people say that I don't know how to do digital marketing, but they're really good at marketing and they have such a long career in marketing. It's the same principles. What works, you just have to adjust it and you have to just shift it a little bit to suit the marketing channel that you're going to be using or the technology that you're using. So when people ask me, oh my God, where did you come up with that idea? It's wow, the seed was planted when I was studying internationally marketing. And when I actually worked at a job 20 years ago, God, getting old, I had an experience that imprinted on me of something that this is something that really works. I can continually use this. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is experience and education that is helping me market so well right now. It's not because all of a sudden I cracked the code on how to cut corners digitally to create lots of success that's meaningful. No, I'm using what I've learned and what I've experienced over years. That's why I'm here sharing things with you, because I think a lot of people that are coming to digital marketing late or they don't have enough time and they're trying to do it quickly miss out on the fact that it does take skill and education and experience to really identify problems before they happen, which do save you money, which do save you time, and also saves you stress, right? That's why some consultants or agencies can be a better fit than others, depending on what your needs are for your business. So moving into this, custom GPTs. So for any of you listening, watching, or experiencing this episode of the TBPM, I want to say that GPT is a platform that you can go on and it's 100% AI based where you can ask questions, get answers, you can reformat documents, you can summarize documents, many different things. You can create images, you can create infographics, you can even create wireframe graphics for websites if you want to. Lots of different things. And in past episodes, what I've told everybody is that if you're just jumping into this whole universe, it's really attractive and it can lull you almost into feeling a little vulnerable because you want to use it. It's a quick fix. Oh my God, that would take me 4 hours to write. And it wrote it in 5 seconds. Oh my gosh, this is going to change my life. Yeah, it's like a gateway drug, right? Getting that dopamine hit of a fast result that when you skim, it looks great. But then if you just slowly reread it, and guess what? A lot of it's crap. A lot of it doesn't sound like you. A lot of it doesn't sound like your organization or your company, nonprofit, whatever it is. So what do? You can create custom GPTs. So it's like a custom little search engine that you can utilize using AI for specific products or projects rather, or products if you want. So what I've found is that using the customization really does help you get faster results. So faster results in this world are more accurate results. Okay, so let me circle back on that just a little bit. Fast results aren't always good results. Fast results for me are ones that I can use as is nearly. And I always say nearly because I never just copy. Wow, this is amazing. I love this tool. If that is if that is what's going on, then let me tell you something for nothing. It is not probably going to be the best result. You want something that is really clearly going to be absolutely identical to what you want. So, how can we get closer to that perfect fast answer? You should be utilizing the customization that a custom GPT can do. So, if you were in ChatGPT and you are going to create a custom version, so you go and you're like, okay, well, let's see how this goes. And then you go into the custom GPT creation method. You choose it from your dropdown, you create your own, and then there's two ways that you can do it. You can do it manually, or you can do it with the assistance of the AI. So the AI will ask you to use that, ask you a series of questions, you input what you have, and then you can save it, and it creates what you need. Now, the problem here is the data. What are you putting into this? Now, this is where the garbage in, garbage out mentality of AI is really important. But think about this. If you had to create an infographic for your sales department, because they have a big pitch, and as a marketer, you were asked to come up with that, and they gave you a bunch of figures. Quite possibly, if you're in the marketing department, sales isn't telling you everything. So you get that, and you take it at face value, you put it into a beautiful graphic, give it back to them, and then they utilize it. But then they find out that they gave you incorrect numbers or the numbers weren't substantiated. I'm sorry, folks out there, it's going to end up being the marketing's fault, right? It's not going to be the sales fault. It's going to be the marketing's fault. Again, I'm not down on you salespeople. I just know how it works in many organizations. So we end up holding the bag, so to speak. So what happened right there was that incorrect information was fed in to create the perfect outcome, and then you have an unusable result or product. So what I'm saying is, if you want to create your own custom GPT, you really have to get your shit together. And what I mean by that is getting your data. So if you're going to be creating a basic one that's going to be for your company and to help you come up with great headlines or great angles, article topics, pull fast news and trends to find out what's most interesting to your target audience of CEOs or vice presidents or founding members, whatever you choose. So if that's the case, you want to make sure that all of the information that you're feeding into the GPT is correct, exact, and up to date, because the AI will try to draw conclusions across the data that you provide. So data points that are incorrect are going to confuse your results. So it's not going to sound right. And then it's going to be really hard to go back in and untangle that problem. What have I seen? This is where I'm going to take you through experience of how I've seen people do this incorrectly and what you could skip and be much more close to the perfect result, rather. So first things first is going in to build your custom GPT and not knowing what you're going to put into it. So what happens is then you open it up, it asks you a question, you go, oh, let me find that. And then you go to find it and you're like, oh, okay, I think this is the most recent version of this. Okay, I'll upload this. Okay, and okay, the next one. Oh yeah, where's that at? No, I'll add that later. Okay, so what else do you need? Okay, so basically what we're finding is that we're scrambling. We're not organized. We're not ready to party. We're just basically, we haven't even come up with the concept. You need to have an idea in your mind of what you want to get out of this item that you're building. You're building a tool to help you work more effectively in whatever you're doing. So maybe you're doing one that's going to act as a FAQ bot that your salespeople could use during calls. So they can just pull up Chat GPT and have it on their phone. The client asks a question, potential client or existing client asks a question, they can type it in and it will give them an answer based off of your knowledge base. Okay, let's use that example. Actually, that's probably the most salient one that I can come up with really quickly. And what do you need? I need to have all of the FAQs that are up to date in my hands. What else do I need? I need to know that additional new FAQs, as they develop, there's a method or a process that they're going to get to me so I can update the GPT rather, so that it gives me all of the answers that I need. So right there, we're seeing where we can start faltering. So if I'm like, okay, what are the most up-to-date FAQs? And I haven't really done any work on that. What we'll find is that you're grabbing stuff from your website and it might be not the most up-to-date. How about this? What if you were a product-based company and you had a recall and the recall hit about maybe 3 SKUs, like maybe like a main SKU and a couple complementary SKUs that were accessories to that product. Then you're going to have new FAQs. And those FAQs are red hot, on fire, most important, because those are losing new clients or new customers. So you have to address those really like with the high amount of urgency. They're not going to be on the website FAQs because it just happened. So you need to really understand what's happening. If you're doing the FAQ model, what questions are being asked? Because you can find commonalities. You can always find that. And if your customer support team is providing lots of different answers, or they will know, they're going to be the ones that understand that maybe every time a product is shipped, 50% of them have the wrong size product, a product arrives late, or whatever's going to come up. But you have to have it most up to date. Why? Because it's a useless tool if it's just sharing old information. So you get this GPT put together based off the FAQs that were on the website because no one's giving you any data. You just throw it together and you go, hey, here's sales team, use this. They're going to use it. It's not going to answer their questions. They're going to say it's crap and they're not going to use it. So what was the purpose of that whole thing? It didn't give anybody anything new, anything helpful, any time-saving measures. So this is the same thing if you're using it for RFPs or if you're using it to help you with copywriting or assist. It's not going to understand who you are until you tell it. So what I suggest is step one, understand what outcome you expect the custom GPT to provide. Do you think it's going to give you answers, ideas, concepts, plans, or reformatting, whatever you want? Can it take a doc and turn it into an editorial calendar? What do you want it to do? Number one. Number two, find all of the information that would help that request be processed properly. Okay, I'm not a coding expert, Chris. Like, how the hell am I supposed to figure that out? You work in the company, right? So you know what you would tell someone that you would hire who would be doing this. That's how you do it. What would you get together? Think about the first day you have a new marketing assistant coming in that's going to help you on this FAQ project. So what are you going to tell that marketing assistant? This is our company. These are our values. This is what the expectations are. This is the format that you need to be working in. These are the initial questions, but I need you to do this too. So it's a whole range of things, meaning that you're probably using a project management system to pull some files or put everything in a repository. I think I'm probably being a little bit dreamy here with that because I know that a lot of marketers aren't necessarily that organized. Not because we're not organized people, but we generally don't have time with all the kind of ad hoc requests that kind of fly our way. So if you can pull everything in a file for your new hire, then obviously that's great. But that's the mentality, right? The mentality is that we don't just go in there and just wing it. You don't wing it if you want it to help you in an intelligent way. You got to take your time. And sorry, that's the truth. So if you were just jumping in there and you're like, I can do this, and you throw a bunch of stuff in there, it's going to give you that level. And again, I'm going to go back to that word skim. And your next point is that skimming results in order to see the efficiency of your custom GPT is the stupidest thing you can do. You need to put time aside to read everything. What I do, this is a shortcut. This is a hot tip, very good tip. And it's going to make me look like a total nerd, but it's going to be an eye opener for you. So, what I do is if I get an outcome on that that's very important and I really want to make sure that it is effective, I copy and paste it into a Google document or a notepad or whatever you want to. I don't really care. And what I do is I go through and I bold everything that I don't like. And what I do is once I bold everything I don't like or it doesn't sound right, I will put why it's wrong. And then I'll copy that again and I'll put it into GPT and I'll say, please take a look at these notes and fix them. Of course, I'm taking away all the extra stuff and I just have my lines and what needs to be changed. But then guess what happens? It doesn't make that mistake again. So it's learned. Where else would you do this? In the traditional marketing department, when one of your direct reports sends you maybe a weekly report that's going to a client, what do? Just open the doc and go, nah, that's good, bye. No, you're like, I want to make sure that none of this is inaccurate and it all makes sense. And you read it, really read it. No, and I'm not saying like, really get your nose down deep, nothing like that. I'm just saying that it's not a skim. Skimming is literally the Achilles heel of any AI action. Because if you are skimming, that's where the weaknesses will show, because that's when the things will slip through your grasp, so to speak, before it's published or released or shared. That could give your team poor direction, poor answers to prospects, the wrong idea, or misrepresent you on digital or socially. There's a lot of things, there's a lot of implications. And so what I find is that some people will just go in, or marketers, or just even business owners, go into GPT, I'll give me a blog post in my voice. And it comes up with a blog post and it looks long. And it's like, ooh, this is amazing already. What's the headline? Oh, that's great. You read the first line and then you just go, boom, and perfect. Then what happens next is that is shared with your marketing department or your copywriting department. And you say, use this when you're creating blogs going forward. And then all the blogs are incorrect and none of them really work. And if you are not approving them and you're skimming them because you're like, I trust this GPT, get ready for the car crash, folks, because that's one thing the wheels start falling off. Garbage in, garbage out. You need to review everything. So you have to know your objective. Now it's time to start creation. And we start doing it. Create your GPT. This isn't a GPT creation class, by the way. I'm telling you the problems that people do when they create them. Because a few of you asked about custom GPTs, and some of the questions you were asking made me think, oh, this is the first step of a conversation about this, is to talk about the boring part that no one likes, the work. It's understanding and identifying, getting most up-to-date and relevant data, reviewing and requesting edits and revisions, and then testing again, and then do it again and again until you get exactly what you want. Then maybe have another pair of eyes put onto it. So maybe the next step would be sharing it with someone else within your organization whose opinion matters to you in terms of whatever use that you're using it for. So if it's an HR GPT, use your HR team. It's your sales, ask your sales, and so on and so forth, and see what they have to say. And then take their feedback and go back and revise it again. See, this doesn't sound easy. It sounds like it's a pain in the ass because you're creating something new. And in order to create something new that has benefit, you have to invest into it. Much like a relationship, much like a lot of things. You can't just snap your fingers and it's just boom, the most perfect thing ever. You have to spend some time through the revision process. So, if I want to just summarize what I'm talking about here, you really need to make sure that everything you're putting into a custom GPT's knowledge base is accurate. 100% accurate. And also, don't give it too much information. Give it exact information that is specific to the task it needs to execute. So if I'm doing an HR task, I'm not putting sales information in there because that's confusing. That means the output from the HR side could sound more salesy or have more sales language and verbiage in there that you don't use internally with staff, which is confusing. But you think it's perfect because you did a little skim and everything's perfect. The thing is, with all of us being on phones more than tablets, I do feel like tablet use, of course, obviously, but we're not really looking at anything long. And I'm saying this across the board. I know there's some people that read every single word of everything, but in a world where there's so much information, we're forced to cut corners in order to consume. So that is okay when you're consuming things. When you're creating things, you can't do that. You can't skim results. You have to look at them under a microscope to see if they are good for you. And here's the real truth, though. If you do all of this, you're going to save a shit ton of time, a ton of time. But what I just told you takes critical thinking, expertise, and patience, because you need to be the expert so you can see what's incorrect. And you need to be a good manager to know how to direct it to do the right thing. So if management's not your thing and attention to detail is not your thing, find someone else to do the GPT for you. Honestly, it's not worth it. You'll never get it. It needs a real specific outlook. And here's the thing, judgment-free zone. If that's what you need to do to save time on the long run, it's worth investing in that. But just doing it yourself half-assed and thinking like, yeah, whoa, look at this so fast. Oh my God, I could write a whole month's worth of content for my e-commerce Facebook page. I'm firing my copywriter. I'm getting rid of my designer. Gee, you got to slow down. Got to slow down because it's so compelling as a subject matter. Hence why all of the snake oil salesmen have popped up to become AI agencies. But at the same time, it's a wonderful tool. And if you use it correctly and you really mindfully utilize it, it's a fabulous time saver. And you know how you're stuck sometimes when it comes to writing something, explaining something. I explain so many things on a daily basis. I'm not complaining. I love that. I love education. But I explain so many things on a daily basis that by the end of the day, I can't write an email. I need someone to check my emails because I don't know if I'm making sense anymore. Come on, we've all been there. We've written so much and you just don't even know if you're making sense. I use the assistant that I've built for emails to help me to see if I'm thinking, if I really had a long meeting and I'm really entrenched in that, but I had to answer something else that has a different vibe, a different tone, a different project, and I have trouble accessing that part of me, I use the AI tools that I've created to access that part of me to help me answer quickly. Because otherwise, I would leave it until I had it in me, or I would answer it quickly in a tone that maybe not be 100% meeting the client or the person who's receiving that email where they are, which is what I want. So these types of things are invaluable and worth the investment, but it's not a snap and you're good, ready to go. I've talked to a lot of people that have, a lot of you, not a lot have talked to me about this, but I think about three people talked about the free version versus the paid version of ChatGPT. And like, yeah, I don't know if I'm really ready to invest in it. And what I said was, then why are we talking about it? Are you looking for me to convince you to go into the paid version? I don't make any money off of this. If you need to save time because you are very busy and sometimes you get a little stuck on ideas and you don't have a team to support you that's that robust, or your team's overworked, this is when GPT really kills it because it helps your team out. Like even for my team at the agency, we're not sitting there writing all of our clients' content, but when we're brainstorming, we can put some crazy ideas into GPT that we've formulated for brainstorming purposes and come up with wonderful concepts that we can disseminate and change into something cool. So it's almost like having another member of your team that is just completely out of the box. Doesn't that sound great? It's a sounding board. It's someone else that you can talk to. But have you ever been in a brainstorming meeting and you don't like anyone's ideas? You can do the same thing with this GPT. Just because it's a computer does not mean that it is flawless, that it is without, I don't want to say malice, but it's not looking out for you. All right. It's trying to please you because that's what AI is supposed to be doing. But at the same time, it's not the be all and end all. If you are out there and you are looking to, you're like thinking about it, you're kicking around, you're like, yeah, fourth quarter this year, one of our goals is to create some custom GPTs that we can utilize for different departments, different campaigns, for different reasons. Try what I suggested in this episode here, looking at your data, coming up with your objectives, going in there with the good quality data, reviewing it, getting a fresh pair of eyes and a second pair of eyes, revising further, and then continually testing and adding to it is very important. The only thing I want to add, though, and this is a big misunderstanding, is that you can just upload every piece of information in your company to the GPT and you're done. Yes, it can read spreadsheets, it can read PDFs, it can look at documents, it can take in text. All of these things are true. It can look at images, it can do all of this. Just make sure that you are getting the most relevant information and then taking out information that is incorrect, because you can only upload, I believe it's 20 files to a custom GPT. If you are a company that has been around for a while, I'm sure you've amassed a lot of different files that will be relevant to the concept of a GPT about your organization. What you need to do is you need to think about how many of those files actually need anything based on the outcome that you want the GPT to create. So if you're doing one that's just like everything about the company, you want to do more brochure type content, sales materials, social media content, email content, press releases, anything that's going to give a flavor. So one of my big hot tips here, that buried this a little bit, if you have, for example, case studies, say that you have 50 case studies, I'm going to send you a cookie bouquet. Please, if you can prove you have 50 case studies for your company, that is for your company, not from all your clients, for your company, based on the work that you've done, tell me, connect with me on LinkedIn and tell me, and I will send you a special gift because you deserve it. Having that many case studies is a big achievement. But many of us out there might have only like maybe 10, something like that. Well, 10 case studies is 10 files. So that cuts down your availability to only 10 additional files that you can upload. Here's a hot tip. Combine all of those case studies into one PDF and then upload that. So then you get 10 for the price of one. And you can do this with other information that you upload to your custom GPT. Just please make sure that it is like information that you're adding within the doc. If it isn't, it can come off as a little confusing to the GPT. So if you've ever had a consultant come in and they looked at all parts of your marketing, and then you have a editorial calendar that someone else created, and then you had ideal social media posting times, and then you just put this all into one thing and you upload it, all that information is going to be looked at as one subject matter without as much context added. I don't know if I'm getting in the weeds here, but just try to, if you want to do that combining files thing, just make sure it's information that's complementary, not contradictory, or from different departments, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So that is our show for today. I really do urge you to critically think about how you can prepare before you jump into create. And this is pretty much a rule that I use for everything when I'm dealing with my agency, my personal life, whatever. If you don't plan, you plan to fail kind of thing. You need to make sure that your data is clean. You have a plan of action. You know exactly what your objective is going to be, and you know that there's going to be reviews and revisions needed before you can use it on a regular basis. All right? That's the Bulletproof Marketer. We have some really interesting topics coming up. We have more AI stuff because you folks out there are really interested in it. Hey, I just want to help with the problems that you're facing right now. I would like to get into some topics around BFCM, fourth quarter stuff, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, because a lot of that stuff is going to be evolving. over the next few months. It's going to look a little bit different, especially with Amazon doing Prime Day every other month, as it seems. We just had one recently. So we're going to be talking about a lot of other topics. But again, connect with me on LinkedIn. Tell me that you listen to the show. And if you want me to cover something, throw it in that message, because this is literally like a free consulting call. So if I can help you, I will take it as a topic and I'll throw it out there. And hopefully it helps not just you, but a lot of other people that have a similar question. As a marketer, I know that a lot of us have similar questions, but we all end up on islands. So we get Stockholm syndrome. So we feel, am I doing this the right way? It seems like everyone's getting great results and I'm not. If a marketer's getting great results and they're screaming it from a rooftop, it could be marketing, right? Anyway, but we have a lot of great topics coming up. So any of the links that are in the description of this show, please click and you can connect, sign up for newsletter, get free ebooks, whatever the hell you want to do. Connect with me on X or LinkedIn. LinkedIn really is the place to be. And again, like I said, thegoagency.com. You can go there, check out our blogs, check out our ebooks, and everything else that you need. All right, folks, until next time, stay bulletproof. Legends, I'll see you next week.